Anyway, we've been here since 10 a.m. What time is it?
True fans.
Yeah. We were the first ones here, I would say.
1:22. All I'm saying is I'm trying to be like Monica Lewinsky up in here. And I'm just kidding.
Yeah, will you give me an intern job? I promise I won't leave any DNA on my dress.
Y también decimos que no me importa. The great things that we can do if only we will come together. My hometown of El Paso, Texas. And for the three of you from El Paso, thank you for being here. ICE, finally, after 20 years, winning a ruling that integrated the heretofore all-white primary in the state of Texas. 20 years of persistence, of fighting, of courage. That victory, that struggle, that outcome, not lost on Thelma White, who graduated from the all-black Douglas High School in El Paso because it was the only school that she was allowed to attend, had the audacity to try to enroll in Texas Western College, and because of the segregation clause in our state's constitution, she was rejected admission based on the color of her skin. She persisted, enlisted the help of a little-known attorney named Thurgood Marshall, took that case up to the federal bench of R.E. Thomason, and thanks to her courage and the example of Dr. Nixon, they were able not just to integrate Texas Western College, but every institution of higher learning in our state and struck down the segregation clause in our Constitution. Incredibly challenging, difficult times, because if you think about it, there's never been a host of challenges like those that we face right now. This, the wealthiest, the most powerful country on the face of the planet, that watches millions of our fellow Americans suffer without the ability to see a doctor, afford their prescriptions, or take their child to a therapist. It has to mean primary health care. It has to mean specialty health care. It has to mean mental health care. And it has to mean every woman makes her own decisions about her own body. We have an opioid crisis in this country. We lost more than 70,000 of our fellow Americans to drug overdose deaths last year. We are 4% of the globe's population. We consume 85% of the globe's opioids. And almost everyone who is buying heroin and fentanyl on the street today first began that journey into addiction with a lawfully prescribed opioid. Purdue Pharma, that company, its directors, the executives who knew full well the addictive properties of what they sold as a miracle medication to doctors and prescribers have faced no accountability or any significant consequences for the harm that they have unleashed on this country, on our communities, and on our fellow Americans. Everyone who's done time for possessing a substance that is legal in so many places. With their parents, who at their most vulnerable and desperate moment, after 2,000 miles on foot, sometimes atop, not inside of a train known as the Beast or La Bestia, the length of Mexico, here at our front door at the Texas-Mexico border. What do? What have we done? Taking that very child for whom that mother has risked her life, turning that mom over to DOJ, then to ICE, deporting her back to the very country from which she fled, putting that child in a cage, separating them with no hope or prospect of knowing when they will or if they will ever be reunited. Though we would like to lay this at the foot or the feet of one man, one administration, or one political party in a democracy where the people are the government and the government is the people. Every day that these conditions persist, it's on every single one of us. So let's use that money. Judges, fund the ability to take in more refugees to this country, to resettle them here in the United States. Fund our ability to get right with our values, the reality we have here on the ground, and to make the most of those who are already contributing so much, freeing every single one of the more than 1 million dreamers in this country from any fear of deportation. 300 years after the Enlightenment, if we will still listen to the scientists. And I, for one, do. They tell us, beyond the shadow of a doubt, that the fires that we see in California, the 58 inches of rain that fell from the sky in Houston and Southeast Texas, taking lives along with it, the third 500-year flood in just 5 years, the droughts through which our farmers attempt to persist, undermining our ability to grow our own food and fiber, to feed and clothe not just ourselves, but so much of the rest of the world. Future, 30, 40, 50 years from now, with pride instead of disgust, then we have to also acknowledge that those scientists tell us there are 12 years within which to act to get this right. Bold change, freeing ourselves from fossil fuels and the things that they want to do. Those teachers who out of their own pocket, on average in Texas, pull out $800 every year, not just for the decorations, not just for the school supplies, but for that kid on free and reduced breakfast and lunch who does not have a dinner waiting for her, for the return that we will receive, not just in your democracy in politics in Texas. We used to rank 50th in the country in voter turnout, not by accident, by design. Some people, because of their race, literally drawn out of a congressional district. Young people realizing that our state had not been a contender for decades, not showing up. By going everywhere for everyone, serving no one but the people I wanted to represent. Young voter turnout in Texas up 500%. Total turnout up, approaching presidential year level.
Somebody killed in handcuffs. How did you get killed in handcuffs? I mean, nobody's is focusing on addressing this issue, and America see it, and that's the vision.
Thank you for the question. You're absolutely right.
Do you guys want to go in front of me? You guys can
Too many African American men being killed in this country, being shot. Too many women, Sandra Bland, many other names that we could raise right now, who has suffered injustice as part of a criminal justice system that does not effectively and functionally treat all lives equally. I think we have to go back to some of the foundational, structural, systemic problems of racism, the effects of slavery and segregation and active suppression taking place in this country right now. When you are 5 years old in a kindergarten classroom, and if you're African American, you stand 5 times the likelihood of being suspended or disciplined or expelled. You understand a schoolhouse to jailhouse pipeline that begins not in high school, but begins in kindergarten, that begins to inform every way in which we treat the entire system of education, of healthcare, of participation in our democracy in a state like Texas, where you can use your license to carry a firearm to prove who you are at the ballot box, but you cannot use your student ID from Texas Southern University to prove who you are at the ballot box. When we bring everybody into this economy, into this democracy, we have equal opportunity for every child born in this foundation was literally built on the backs of slaves, those who were brought here in bondage from other countries against their will, who effectively had no ability to enjoy the fruits of their labor, the wealth that they helped to build, who after the end of slavery were still kept down, were suppressed. Talk about lynchings, to talk about brutality, to talk about this state turning against some of its own citizens based on the color of their skin. He says that the process of reparations begins with the truth, with every single American, regardless of your background or the color of your skin, knowing our common history and these common facts. Every single semester I was in school, I was taking out student loans, working a work-study job, and that he and my mom on their own had personally taken out loans to fund my education. So why, Beto, do you want to sit around and read books all day when you could become an engineer or an accountant or an attorney or a doctor? This is a very expensive education that we were all paying for you. I mentioned $40,000 as the average load that graduating college seniors will have on their backs going forward. $1.5 trillion nationally. I want to make sure that we do not continue to dig the hole that we're in any deeper. I want to make sure that you are both college and career ready graduating from high school. If you want to join an apprenticeship at a union, if you want to go to a community college, if you want to go to a publicly financed public 4-year institution in your state, you should not take on a dime of school in a community that is desperate for your talent and what you want to contribute to those kids' potential. If you want to move back to a community that is in need of its revitalization, in the young people who can come back and work in-demand jobs that are unfilled today, that is an investment worth making for this country to make sure that we wipe clear your debt. Next president of the United States of America. Thank you for having us on. Very, very, very grateful. Thank you. you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You think Cory Booker would beat Elizabeth Warren?
That's not true.
She's got herself fucked up. Oh, I see his little baby head.
He's hot. I genuinely know he's hot.
It's so hard to
He's
like
babe.
change, like think about him non-sexually.
He could get it.
Oh, there's SGTV. No, but today was like a beautiful weather.
Oh my god, yeah.
It feels like it did happen for a reason. He's gonna be president.
The sun opened up for him.
Yeah.
He's a white man.
Wow.
He's probably gonna be president.
He said, "Oh my God!" At one point, he was like, "And I could say, as a white man, there are whatever people that know more than me." And I was like,
They've had more experiences than I have.
"Yes, yes." And they're more experienced people. And I was like, "Wow."
He's low.
I almost didn't skip 3 classes for this, and then I emailed my professors, and I'm gonna put screenshots of what they said. How was it, Spencer? What happened?
It was really stressful, but I think we actually got it covered.
Yay!
And we got an interview with him.
That's so exciting! What'd you guys think? Did you like it?
Right now,
it
Ward
was
is
cool.
getting interviewed by WLTX behind you.
No, yeah, this is my first presidential nominee rally.
Oh, same,
You're
same
young.
here.
Yeah,
Oh, this is my
voted.
second.
And this
Which
is going to
one
be
did
the
you
first
I was
time.
at Kamala Harris
you went
when
to
she was
Kamala.
here.
Yeah, this is
and
the
I
first
gotta
time I'm going
say,
to This is y'all's
vote?
first presidential
I gotta say-
Yeah.
voting.
Oh yeah, this is the
No,
first
it's
time
not.
I can
I
vote.
voted.
Well, for us.
Oh, yeah.
I gotta say, Kamala, she was 2 hours late
Yeah.
and only
honey.
answered like 2 questions. So right now, I'm learning.
Hey,
leaning
that's my
towards-
senator
Yeah.
you're talking
Well, I
about.
can't-
Well,
just
I
kidding,
just
I'm
said
just
Elizabeth
kidding.
Warren was really good too, but she's like, she knows she's not gonna win.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not.
Like if Joe Biden enters,
He will.
I don't want him to.
I don't
No,
want
me
to
neither. He needs to just like relax.
Just like
Yeah, take
like,
a chill pill.
write a book and make
Really.
millions, dude.
That was so California. Like
Write a
with your
book.
sunglasses. You're like, take a chill, pal.
Just chill.
We get it. You're from California.
This time I was like, Robert. Beto like literally saw him like walked away. Yeah. And then finally during the questions, he was like, Robert, and he was like,
Fist bump him. Yeah,
So
this kid
annoying.
sucked, and he was like 6 feet tall.
Sitting
Couldn't
right
see
in front.
anything. End of the vlog. Before. Any closing remarks?
I didn't really mean the Monica Lewinsky thing, but I kind of did.
Because
So
we won't get a job ever if we put that on the internet.
Okay.
So we're just kidding, but
Yeah.
I'm putting it on.
I will
Dude,
be.
I'm not famous.
I will be
so.
an intern, but not a sexual one.
Okay, sure. Y'all, I cannot stop laughing. I'm standing outside. What am I, white? I have a line on my face. Oh my gosh. This is the second time this year my face has been literally altered. I had a scratch over here from a dog that bled and had scars. And now this. And this. Now, I'm truly just hoping it goes away by tomorrow morning because I'm gonna be on stage tomorrow. People supposed to be looking at me. I even made a good point that I could just joke about though. So, any good jokes about getting burned at the Beto rally? Hit me up in the comments.